Hey, what's going on, guys? Merry Christmas. I hope all your shopping is done and all the wrapping is done and you're looking forward to spending some time with your family. But as for this Sunday, we're getting into the story where Jesus was born, where the gift of God finally showed up. And this is the gift that they've been waiting for, and God has been waiting to give for so long. Now, before I get into the story, I want to make a couple announcements. First, thank you to everybody who helped out last Sunday while I was out of town. Thank you so much for all that you did, making it possible for me to go away. And the second thing I want to say is a brief announcement on the fact that we are a growing church, and with growth comes some management opportunities. And so as we grow, we need to start establishing some routines and some norms. I don't know if you guys have noticed our growth. We have different groups each Sunday, not the same group every Sunday, but it's a different group, and it's hard to see the growth, but let me assure you, it's happening. And with that comes some growth management possibilities. And so the first thing, the easiest thing to help us manage the growth, probably that first step in creating routine, is basic cleanup. If you guys can help us after your small group is over, you undoubtedly have a lot of debris, a lot of unused materials, crayons, markers, stuff all over the place. If you guys can help us clean, and for the most part, it's been happening, but it's really the unused materials and that we have to kind of sift through as we're prepping for the next week. That has become kind of cumbersome. So if you guys could help us throw away any unused items from that week, as well as kind of keep your closets kind of neat and tidy. If there's anything kind of lingering, especially goldfish cups. Listen, if you like roaches, have the goldfish cups in there. But if you want to help fight the roach battle, then make sure all the goldfish cups are thrown away. A simple tip for you is to delegate this cleanup responsibility to a couple of students in your group or a couple of the extra leaders you have in the room. Just make this a normal part of your room, of your time together. Like, who's the cleanup crew? When are they doing it? What time is that happening? Where did the unused materials go? Create a plan and communicate that plan, because when we show up after Sunday to prep for the following Sunday, it would benefit us greatly to have all that other stuff kind of already done. As for the story of the birth of Jesus, as I've read this story and I've been thinking about it, it keeps coming to me how inconvenient this whole thing was. If there was ever a moment for Joseph and Mary to call a timeout, or even God to look down and be like, you know what? That looks difficult. How about we postpone this whole birth thing to next week, when after you've done the census and you've lived in a barn for a night. Maybe we can do this next week. But that's not what happened. None of the inconveniences or the difficulties stopped anybody in this process. God was determined to bring his son. Mary and Joseph were determined to do their part in the whole process. And I think it just speaks to God's faithfulness to us, that no matter how difficult or complicated life is, he's always going to show up. He's never going to let inconvenience or bad timing stop his plan from coming into fruition into our lives. And so, as a leader, pray about this. What elements of this, the birth of Jesus, what elements can you bring alive in your small group? I'm going to focus on the difficulty and the inconvenience of that moment, but the faithfulness of God and Mary and Joseph in those moments. Sometimes as believers, we just got to be faithful because God is faithful. And so that's the story. All right, the first activity for the kindergarten first grade group is called the popsicle manger scene. And in each box there's going to be a set of these pictures. They are pictures of Mary, Joseph, and some camels and some angels. No, there's no angels in there. There should be, but there's not. And a couple of grumpy looking men, which could either be Caesar or the guy at the inn who said there's no room. And you're going to spend some time putting these figures onto a popsicle stick. Each kid gets a set of these. And so after they've kind of put them together, and as they're putting together, you're talking to them about who they are. This is the Bible story review activity. So as they're putting it together, you're reminding them, oh, this is Mary. She was the one who gave birth. This is Joseph. This is the one that married Mary. And this is the grumpy guy at the end who didn't let them stay. And just kind of talk about who those figures are. And then after they're all done, you are going to invite some of them to act out the Christmas story with their figures. And then at the end, place all the items into a plastic bag so they can send them home, and encourage the kids, tell the story of Jesus when you get home today using these figures. The next activity is called Which is Greater, and this is a really cool activity, but I will say it takes some prep time. It takes some time to read through the activity to make sure you understand what is actually happening, because it matters. It really matters how you lay everything out. Basically, in a nutshell, there are 15 boxes available to you, and in these 15 boxes are pictures of types of gifts. One's a skateboard, one's a bicycle, and they're going to be labeled. These boxes look like this. They're all different, but they're all gift boxes, and they all have a number assigned to them. And what you're going to do is you're going to place these boxes out so the kids can see them. You don't have to hide them or anything, just let them see it. And then you're going to pick 3 kids, and those 3 kids are going to go pick out a present that they want to open. Now just let them know they're not taking anything home. And after the first 3, they'll kind of figure it out. But have them pick out one present, and then as a group, they're all 3 have picked out their gifts. Have them stand in front of the group, and then the group decides which box they're going to open up first. Some boxes are big, some are small, and then whoever they pick to open it first, they open it first. They show what's inside, and then they pick who picks up the second gift, which opens up the second gift, and they pick the second person. And then you go through all 3 people, they show all 3 gifts, and then you pick, as a group, which is the best gift. And so the 2 that didn't get picked, they have a seat, and I'm not real sure, I think there might be a typo in the binder of what happens to the person they did pick, but I have my own thoughts on that. So have that kid go to the other side of the room, and then pick 3 more kids, and then do the whole thing again. Now, it's important that you end with 1 kid left. So, if you have 10 kids, use 9 gifts from your cart or your closet. So you want to have 1 kid remaining, because there is 1 gift that you've been hiding, and it's the gold present that is either in your box or in your closet somewhere separate from the 15 boxes. And so after they've exhausted all the boxes, there's 1 kid left and there's no presents, apparently. And then you call the kid up, you say, there is 1 gift left. And you give him the gift. He opens it up. It's a picture of Jesus in the manger. And then you talk about how all those other gifts, they were great. They brought us a lot of fun. It'd be great to have all of them. But there's actually 1 gift that's greater than all of them. And that's Jesus. And just talk to him about what that means to them as a follower. As someone who God loves so much that he gave them a gift. And this is a really good picture of what it looks like to follow Jesus. The whole present thing, the whole Christmas tree. Like right now, under the tree, we all have presents. They have our names on them, but we haven't actually received them yet. We don't receive them until Christmas Day. And even on Christmas Day, when everyone's getting their presents, you give the present to the kid that has their name on it. It's sitting in their lap, but they haven't opened it yet. They haven't actually received it yet. They don't actually receive it or take ownership of the gift until they open it and realize what it is. That is taking ownership. And the same is true when it comes to following Jesus or opening the gift or receiving Jesus. We don't really open the gift of Jesus until we choose to follow him. That's how we open it up. That's how we receive, is we say, God, I want to follow Jesus. That is us receiving and opening the gift of Jesus. So, as a leader, talk to your kids about what it looks like to follow Jesus, how to receive God's greatest gift of Jesus. And it all happens when we choose to follow Jesus. And then ask them, is does anybody here want to follow Jesus? And raise your hand if you want to follow Jesus. And you could make it known like this if you've never done it before. But sometimes just letting kids raise their hands, because we never know who's showing up in the room. We never know where they're at that day. To a kid, they might have made a mistake and they feel like they need to do it all over again. Now, we want to, over time, teach them that that's not necessary. But if they feel the need to raise their hand and say, God, I want to follow Jesus, we don't want to hinder that at all or talk people out of that. And so think about that. Pray about it, how you can talk about what it looks like to follow Jesus. And then wrap up with prayer, or if you've begun with prayer, do that how you guys have always done it. So guys, thank you so much for all that you do. I can't wait to see you guys this Sunday.